Hello and welcome to CAIE Grade 4 Math. This video will be showing subtracting, dividing, ratios, number patterns, fractions, mixed number lines, measuring time and calendars. The teachers for this video are Deanna Benedict and Peter Middleton. What will you learn in this video? You will learn about subtracting multiples of 10, dividing methods, ratios, number patterns, fractions, mixed number lines, measuring capacity, tallying the time, measuring time, reading timetables, and using calendars. Let's start by talking about subtracting multiples of 10. Can you see the blocks? Here you can subtract with blocks, or you can subtract with number lines. Can you see the number line? In this picture, they are subtracting. They are going backwards from 60 to 20, subtracting in tens. So you can subtract with blocks, or you can subtract with number lines for multiples of 10. It's dividing, and here they are dividing objects into groups. For example, there are 12 chocolates and 3 friends want to share them. How can they divide the chocolates? You can see they divided the chocolates into 4. They have 4, 4 and 4, and they've divided it into 3 groups for 3 friends. So each friend has 4 chocolates each. Sometimes we can divide and there is a remainder. This is for odd numbers. For example, these 2 dogs have 7 bones, but they want to divide them so they can both have the same bones. But in this picture, it's impossible. They divide them and they have 3 bones each with a remainder of 1. So for odd numbers, and in this picture, they divide the numbers with a remainder. There are different methods for dividing. In this picture, you can see the halve and halve again method. And you can see that in both examples, they have a number and they have to divide it 2 times. So on the left, the number is 204 and it's divided by 4. First, he divides it by 2 to get the answer 102, and then divides it again to get the answer 51. So he's halved the number and then halved it again. If he wants to go back to the same number, he can double the numbers and double again to get back to the same starting number. On the right, you can see he's divided by 24. Again, they want to divide by 4. They halve the number, dividing it by 2 to make 12, and then divide it again by 2 to make 6. Using number lines for division, this is the walk forward method. So in this picture, they count how many steps they took to divide the number. So the mathematics here is plus 10 divided by 2. And they are counting forwards to check how many times they have to go forward. And this gives the answer. So at the bottom of the picture, you can see that the face went forwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times using 2's to get to the number 10. So 10 divided by 2 must be 5. Here's also the walk backward method for number lines. In this picture, there is the number minus 12, and they want to divide it by 6 minus 6, and we can walk backwards. So from the number 0, we can jump backwards, and you can see it's 2 times that they had to go backwards by 6 to get to the answer, the starting number, minus 12. So 12 divided by 6 must be 2, because they jumped backwards, they walked backwards 2 steps. Another method is repeated subtraction method. And here you can see so many stars. There are 34 stars. And how can we group them into groups of 4 stars? And you can see that at the bottom of the picture, they kept on subtracting 4 each time. So they subtracted 4 and made it group 1, subtracted 4 and made it group 2, all the way until there was 8 groups of 4 stars, with 2 stars remaining. So we know that the answer must be 8 with a remainder of 2 when you divide 34 stars by 4. Division repeated subtraction method. Again, you can see for the same method that there are 25 balls and we want to form groups of 5. And you can see here that they make different groups with 5 balls, and there are 5 groups of 5. So they kept subtracting 5 from the group to get the answer. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. We can also use division wheels to help us with our division. You can see on the left, this is an example of a division wheel with the answers underneath the flaps. So on the left it's divided by 2, on the right it's divided by 3. What are these numbers when you divide them by these numbers? Can you make your division wheel? It's ratios, and ratios are a comparison or a relationship between 2 items. So let's look at these dots or these circles. How many blue are there and how many pink? We can see that there are 5 blue circles, but there's only 3 pink circles. We can write this as a ratio. Can you see? At the bottom they say 5 to 3 as the ratio. And here are different examples of ratios. For example, you can see the stars. There's 2 red stars and there's 7 blue stars. So this is 2 to 7. Or there are 3 red mittens, and there's 5 blue mittens. So this is 3 to 5 ratio. So all these pictures are examples of different ratios. Let's look at equivalent ratios. And you can see that the stars, there are 6 stars, there are 2 blue stars and 4 green stars. And we can write the ratio as 2 to 4. But we can half this and have an equivalent ratio, a ratio that is the same. So 1 to 2 is the equivalent of 2 to 4. It has the same value. Here we have number patterns, and you can see how the patterns, the numbers are in a pattern. The numbers on the top have a difference of 5 each time. So 53 to 48 to 43 have 5 between them. At the bottom, you can see that the numbers have a pattern. The pattern is 2 as a difference. So the purple balloon is 14, the blue balloon is 12, the yellow balloon is 10. What is the red balloon? Well, we know that there's 2 as the difference, as the pattern. So 14, 12, 10. The red balloon must be 8. The blue balloon is 6. What do you think the green balloon is? Can you tell me? Let's go on to fractions, and here are examples of fractions. You can see that there's half, quarter, a third, and 3/4. And here they are written: a whole, a half, 3/3, and 1/4. So 3/3 is the equivalent of 1 whole. You can see in the picture. So let's look at this fraction. What fraction of the cookie was eaten, and what fraction of the cookie remains? So count the different sections of the cookie. How much of the cookie was eaten? Write it as a fraction. And how much remains? Here we have fraction circles. You can see the circle has different colors. Let's count the different sections of the circle. What fraction of the circle is green? So let's look at this together. There are 1, 2, 3 green sections, and in the circle there are 8 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can write this fraction as 3/8. Can you write the fractions for the blue and red sections? Count the different sections and write it as a fraction. And let's look at the stars here. Look at the stars in the rectangle box. How many stars are in the box, and how many stars are there altogether? So can you write this as a fraction, the number of stars that are in the box in comparison to the total? So let's look at this together. You can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stars in the box, but there's 12 stars altogether. So 8 out of 12 stars are in the box. Here is a fraction wall. You can see a whole number is at the top, and they keep on going smaller and smaller fractions. At the bottom are 1/12. We can use spider diagrams for fractions to show equivalent fractions. So you can see that for half, you can make numbers that are equivalent to a half. Can you think which numbers are equivalent to a half? Here we have fraction blocks, and in the blue you have the number on the top, and then at the bottom is the color in white. So you can see for 1/3 there's 1 blue block, and that's at the top, and in total there's 1, 2, 3 blocks. So there's 1 blue block out of 3. Here are fraction number lines, and in this picture you can see a number line and fractions along the number line. So on the right is 100% a whole fraction, and if we count backwards you can see that there are smaller and smaller fractions. On the left there's 0%, it's 0 out of the whole number. Fraction and decimal number lines. So the last number line had fractions, but this number line has fractions and decimals. And you can see that they are equivalent. So you can see that there is a fraction 7/10, and the decimal is 0.7. Or for a half, 1/2, you can see that the decimal equivalent is 0.5 out of the whole number 1. Here you can see mixed number lines, and we can use blocks to help us here. So it shows you numbers that are more than 1, more than a whole number. So on the bottom, you can see that there is the number 1¼ We can put this on the number line. This is to the right of a whole number. So you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 yellow blocks for the whole number 1. But for the mixed number 1¼ there's an extra block next to the 4 blocks. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks for this mixed number. What blocks do you think there will be for 1½? How many will there be? And you can see again that there are 5. There are 5 blocks for 1¼ There are 6 for 1½. Measuring capacity, and here we have different liquids, and we're measuring them. We have 1 liter, and in 1 liter there are 1,000 milliliters. And we can measure these using liquids. We can use fractions to help us. So here we've got 1 liter of water, and on the right, and the fraction is 4/5. So we know that there are 800 milliliters in this picture. On the left, it's 2/5. This jug can carry 1 liter. So how many milliliters are in the jug? It's telling the time. This is a digital clock. It has the hours and the minutes on it. This clock is an analog clock, and you can see that there's a minute hand that's big and long, and an hour hand that is short. We can tell the time during the day. So you can see from midnight until noon, it is the morning, and it is AM. And in the afternoon and evening, from 12 noon until midnight, it's PM. And on the clock, we can show this. So we can read it to see AM and PM. The analog clock only shows 12 hours, but we know what time it is using AM and PM, and we can write it for the clock in AM and PM times. So let's say it is 4 AM. We can write that as 0400. But if it's 4 PM, we can write this as 1600. So for time, we can write for AM and PM. PM is from 1201 to 24. And you can see here again that you have to and past on this clock, the minutes and the hours, and you can count in AM or PM. So let's read and write for time, and you can see on the clocks are showing different times. and we've got 3 o'clock, 6:15, 9:30, and 11:15. These are different times in the day. So can you use 15, 30, and 2:15 when you read a clock? So we can see on these clocks that they have got different times. Some are AM and some are PM. You can see on the top left, the time is 6:05 in the morning. So it's 5:06 AM. On the bottom right, it's 7:45. We write this as 7:45 PM. Okay, it's 7:45. This is in the afternoon or the evening, as it's 7:45 PM. So it's the evening. We can measure time, so we can see how long it takes to cross the finish line. So here we have got 4 robots, the pink, the orange, the blue, and the green, and they take different times to cross a finish line. You can see here that there is a number line. They started the time at 5:1. Okay, so you can see here the time is 1 and the starting time is 5:1. You can see on the analog clock here. And so the pink robot only takes 16 minutes. So it finishes here at 1:11 or 11 minutes past 1. The orange robot finishes at 16 minutes past 1. Can you show on the number line where the orange, blue, and green robot finish? Using sun timers and the hourglass. So using sun timers and hourglasses. So here we have 2 hourglasses. One is small and one is big. The small takes 4 minutes to end. The big takes 7 minutes to end. So you can see that you have to flip the sun timer. How long does it take to measure 9 minutes using the 2 hourglasses? So remember, 1 hourglass takes 7 minutes to finish and 1 takes 4 minutes. So how many times do we need to flip the time, the sun timers? Have a think, please, to try to work out how long it takes. Let's read the timetable. Here we have a timetable for buses, and there are 4 buses, bus A, B, C, and D, and there are 4 places that they go to on their journey. They go to the market, the cinema, the hospital, and the school. And you can see that bus A starts at 8 in the morning, 8 AM, and it finishes at the school at 8:47 or 13 minutes to 9 AM. What time does bus B start? Does it start in the morning or the afternoon? It's AM, isn't it? It's 20 past 10 AM. And what time does it finish at the school? That's right, it finishes at 10 past 11 AM. Now let's look at bus C. Is this AM or PM? That's right, it's PM. It starts at 20 past 12. What time does it finish at the school? It finishes at 11 past 1 PM. So remember that 13 is 1 PM. Can you tell me what time bus D gets to the cinema? And what time does it finish at the school? So we can work how long it takes to get the bus from the hospital to the school. So we can see that bus B stops at the hospital at 12 minutes to 11 a.m. and it finishes at the school at 10 past 11 a.m. Let's see how many minutes it takes. It takes 12 minutes until 11, and then 10 minutes from 11 to 10 past 11. So it takes 22 minutes for the bus to get from the hospital to the school. And you can see here with the bus table, when does the first bus leave Cross Road in the morning? So North Cross Road is circled, and you can see that it leaves at 9:55 or 5 to 10 in the morning. It is the first bus that can leave North Cross Road. There are no buses before that. Let's use calendars, and we use calendars to show the months of the year. You can see that this month is January, and a boy or girl has written on the calendar to show where he or she is going or what he or she is doing. For example, on the 17th, he or she is going to visit grandma, and on the 21st, they are going to the zoo. What are they doing on the 26th? That's right, they're going to the movie day. And what day does school start? Look at the calendar and look at the days. What date does school start? It starts on the 6th. And what day is the 6th? Let's look up. It's a Monday. Can you see the 6th? Look up, and it says Mon. That means it's Monday. So Monday the 6th of January. What did we learn in this video? We learned subtracting multiples of 10. We learned dividing methods. We learned ratios. We learned number patterns. We learned fractions. We learned mixed number lines. We learned measuring capacity. We learned telling the time. We learned measuring the time. We learned reading timetables, and we learned using calendars. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.